seen these compositions a lot of the time. So you're 100% right. It is basically who's gonna do it better, and sometimes that's really fun to watch. And hopefully that'll be the case here. I have faith in both of these teams. But as things get started, it's looking like it's gonna be a bit of a B split. Or at least into mid, with a stack going there, and with Satellite just contesting some of that control of B main.
We get to see how Cubert is going to work the map, which they did so well on Lotus, but not going to get to do much of that if Renz is going to bodyguard, but he's going to respect that. He can't 1v2. He's going to keep himself humble, but he's going to give space to Cubert, and a big chance for Giza and Caillou to match up. And Cubert are left with 2 and still one objective in mind. Get into the B side. At the back is Chloric. The IGL ready to call. Gets the spike down, but it's Satellite who's going to quickly try to get the plant down. But now realizing Maryville are around the corner, and still a paranoia in the hands of Ange. It is going to make contact with Satellite, and he's right at the front door. And they're just going to watch this happen in the smoke. Satellite is going to play hide and seek, and it's deadly. It's about to drop. 1v1 against Wildfire. He wins it. Couple of headshots, 4 HP. Not enough. Satellite hemorrhages, and Maryville take the pistol.
I just felt like I experienced, you know, that twister, the little, like, literally the UFO twister at your local carnival is what I just came off of that. I was like, whoa. It reminds me of the Lotus round where they stole away the spike. The first round Maryville was able to win. That's just going to be kind of like a theme that we've seen, as Maryville does win rounds, but they aren't as, like, decisive, you know? They haven't been as strong. Hopefully with this buy-up, though, they have themselves an Outlaw, double Bulldogs, a Sheriff, and even a Judge here in hand for Wildfire. This one should be more decisive.
Wow,
okay.
Get farmed. He's wild, he's on fire, he's got a Judge. That's all she wrote. I love me some good Judge play, but pushing into pistols will still hurt at range. So Cubert are gonna grab the orb and dip.
Truly became the executioner there more than anything. And now they go for a pinch play as well. Giza's going to pick up some more. And again, Wildfire, I feel like Flash Initiator kind of works for him a lot better as well. You know, known for the breach, the bread and butter, and the breach. So having him play on another Flash Initiator does feel like a bit more refreshing. Not to say that the Fade Scan Initiator isn't good. It just feels a bit more effective here. Other than that, though, for Maryville, again, a bit more decisive. This is going to give them information of where Caillou is, and they should collapse upon this last player. But let's see what Caillou does.
Yeah, it's just going to be delayed. Like, hey, Maryville winning a pistol and not dropping 11 to 1.5 bodes really well. Maryville's defense standing up a lot taller than before, and when you have a Judge play like that, Wildfire will also get a lot of ult orbs out of that, and we just know how important that null command is. Well, it was really Cubert's side's null command that popped off on Lotus, since, you know, no KO on Maryville, but we'll get to see if Wildfire can do a good impression of Nismo.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Have a restaurant, you know, that would be really silly. But other than that, I mean, yes, the ultimates are starting to stack for both teams. Caillou's also really close to his as well. It is a rifle round, though, for, I would say, I mean, you can even say it's kind of a broken buy for Maryville. They do have 2 rifles and an Outlaw that they've carried over, as well as Wildfire being back on the Judge. So I have to see defense-sided map, slightly worse weapons.
Now, you've marked Renz at this spot before, so I like that Cubert are going for a more safe approach. Not reveal their hand until they're ready. It's a quick swing from Chloric, and no trade. Redux able to use his smoke well to disappear into the shadows, and well, wow. Oh, there's another Judge, and it's still Wildfire, and Ange is there to collapse on the rest, and Cubert have to recover the spike. At least there is a smoke in top mid, but not the best util to get to it if you're Cubert. Not even a paranoia, but hey, pretty solid shots out of Knights, even through the flash, just walking on by in front of Giza like that. No respect.
That makes sense, right? Defense-sided map, just hold those corners, wait for the enemy to fall into you, lay down the framework for success. And at this point, Satellite has to do it all.
It'd be possible if they collapse, and He at least gets one, but that is Maryville converting yet another bonus. And last time we saw it, it was in that second half on Lotus when we pretty excited if Maryville had it in them to go for the marathon, but unfortunately we're cut at the heel. I maybe had too much coke for that, but
No, but it's good for Maryville though, right? Because even though they lost a fair bit of players, they didn't really invest too heavily into that second round. They kept a lot of the weapons over. It's again, you know, round 1 was a little bit dicey, but 2 and 3 start to seem like they're getting that vibe back together, and none other than Ascent of all maps, right? It's a very basic map. They're playing the strategy really well, and hey, at the end of the day, if it works, it works. Wow.
Wow. Giza picks up 2, and this is not the first time we've seen the man pull off a double kill and just a multi-kill in general. But Cubert are still going to work through this map. 1v2 now for Satellite against an Odin and a Vandal. And all the weapons that would be down are within the site. Maybe he'll be able to reach one at B main.
Hopefully. It did already do a good chunk of damage, though, for Cubert, right, when it comes to that. And going into this next one, it's pretty solid for Satellite. It's a question of how much more value can Satellite get, and is it possible to salvage this round? Because dropping the gun will give away his position.
Could just see if he can play off of his turret, and no, just the trap was laid, and Maryville are on a win streak. And it's been taking them a lot of bodies to get that going. A lot of them turning cold, like 1 or 2 players left at the end of the round. So it's not going to be the most stable wins out of Maryville.
No. I mean, but still, like I mentioned in the mid-round, very good damage done by Sentinels Cubert Academy. More than just the damage that was dealt, they now also have ultimates up. They have the null command, which is going to be super prevalent here. They're most likely even going to invest a lockdown sometime within the next 2. I'd be surprised if they go for something along those lines.
All right. Paranoia is going to keep Renz in line as Wildfire stays inserted into Wine in case Cubert want to try and hit a weaker site, or if they think that's the weaker site. Usual drone from Cubert into Market. Isn't going to see anyone this time.
Good setup for Redux to get into here, get some of that information on Market, but not staying for the insert, falling back into a good regimented strategy here. Considering that Cubert is down by 4, I like that we're starting to see Redux being like, okay, we're going to fall back a little bit, play with the team, make sure you have that lifeline and support for the entry in the firepower fight.
He's just gonna peek out of top mid. He's always going for big plays like that, but it is answered by Cubert. But just the amount of information Giza has. Okay, they're still defaulting. They're going around mid, but Catwalk presence is there, and Maryville gonna try and shut it down. Wildfire will be still in Wine, and he stops that player in A main. Could be wrapping around, so Cubert need to make a move and not stay in the middle of the map. This island will be surrounded there by Sharks. Cubert into Market. Renz with an important cutoff, and it leaves Redux alone pretty much with the spike. He's gonna toss it to Satellite and just go right towards the site. He has an important 1v1 against Kalort, not expecting him to be there. The lockdown invested and easily dismantled as Redux has the clutch with 10 seconds left, and he does a good job of dwindling the forces of Maryville. He's gonna get time to plant, and Wildfires is on his way. Redux, though, limited on HP. Wildfire still has a knife and waiting for Redux to go on exploration duty, but he's just going to stay put, and Wildfire has to pick his moment.
Those are the potential timings.
Now it's door number 1 or door number 2. Which one does Wildfire want to peek from? Put shots into the door. What a quick flick from Wildfire. That was disgusting, and it keeps the streak going for Maryville.
Doesn't matter which door you go through, he's gonna find you. Wildfire's there, keeps the dream alive. And I mean, truly a hero play out of Redux, right? Just the setup was there. Wildfire popping the ultimate to kite them back towards the B site, pressure them away. All of these little things going up here. Giza finding picks in mid that we see in the replay. Honestly, all of Maryville doing that. But then the hero emerges and the hero falls. And now with this, a new hero arises. Wildfire, we've already known that Wildfire is a great player, but regardless, they've used a lot of ultimates in that round. Let's see if Sentinels can bring it back up because they have 3 of their own. Potential is there.
Okay, dashing in, Redux making the space, but all the util at the front door in the smoke isolates Redux away from the flock. And he's the first blood, he's the first victim. And Maryville will completely deny A with just all the stacks on this side.
Yeah, I mean, Redux tried. I was talking about that ultimate going in, just trying to be fast off of it. Even Caillou having his, but at the end of the day, it's just a bit rough on the fight. Sometimes the geometry of the map is a bit off, sorry. Microphone was a bit off as well, the geometry of the mic. But back into what I was saying is that it just looks rather rough for Cubert.
Hey, at least
Deploying drone.
Hunter's Fury would always be nice, but the drone has to start all the way back. Won't be able to be as deep into B. Okay, he's still got just enough to see the initial left lane, tag someone at the back. Giza gonna be suppressed for now, and Nice is gonna try and be proactive against Giza, not expecting it, and Giza gets nervous. So Nice does even up the odds for Cubert, giving them a chance to plant. And now Renz and friends, which honestly that should be their band name. Hunter's Fury gets ahead of the game though for Cubert through the middle on the left side, and some initial damage being put in. Renz has to abandon the op and try to have a better chance to brawl through. Satellite's position has important 1v1 against Ange, and Ange does dwindle the odds as Cubert just try to create a fortress, and now overdraft the updraft above. Renz tries to get an angle and finds the head of Knights, but Cubert just have better trades. But Clork has a big old gun and has a lot to say to Cubert, and Maryville do not falter here on Ascent.
So unfortunately, I have not been able to try sardines, but when you like put them into a can and like you close it and like make sure that it's hard to like get out, like it's kind of what we've been seeing here. They just immediately trap them on the B site, no escape, no cigar, no nothing. And it's good. I mean, Cubert is trying different things. They're doing a variety of stuff. They're trying to either work the map in some cases, maybe even going for a good fight, setting up Redux, setting up Knights. But at the end of the day, Maryville's adaptability is there, and they're managing to understand, okay, when do we need to fight into space? When do we need to retake? Like the past 2 rounds have just been very nice retakes and very nice fights out of Maryville, trying to catch those good timings. And just, I love that little micro. We flash for our teammate. We allow that flank to come through out of B main and trap Cubert onto it. But now, taking the focus to Cubert, Cubert needs to not only take a little bit of a breath, they have an eco right now. They used a lot of ultimates and couldn't succeed. Maybe insert Redux somewhere, try and have Knights lurk around, maybe throw off Maryville. A lot of ideas should be thrown here, hopefully, for Sentinels Cubert Academy to start picking up some rounds. Otherwise, we're going to have a repeat of Lotus, but this time mirrored, flipped.
And I think Maryville are liking what they see in the mirror, because they're bringing an Ob and an Odin into this round again. So that's a whole lot of firepower, and they have so many retake tools, and I think Maryville can continue playing as far back as possible. They'd have not much presence in top mid besides the one round that Giza walked up on. All the Sentinel util has been at B, and they've swapped between A and B, so it's, wow, I guess the Odin is gonna scream through the smoke, and Cubert are down Caillou.
I mean, it is a bit of a G2 buy here, so it's not the end of the world, but regardless, it's still frustrating.
And when it rains, it pours. Cubert just can't even get close enough for these stingers to find value until Satellite creeps into glass and surprises Wildfire. But that's just one denial. Cubert, buddy system, now just don't want to walk into a trap and have a chance to go elsewhere, but it's a re-clear that's going to be really troublesome when one of your players is at 17 HP.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of trying to potentially have Satellite get some more value. Oops, spots him. I cannot win against Ange. Ange has also just been coming into his own. Like, when watching Ange play, they were, you know, a Smokes demon. They kind of had, I would even like to see head-to-head against Knights in some capacity, where they do have Ange at 9 and 4 right now in stats, just getting kills, getting good positions, playing with the team, all the stuff you'd want out of Omen. And on the previous map, just wasn't the case. But here, we're starting to see some of that. Maybe it's just off of the effect that they're playing defense side Ascent, but that even just that in and of itself could help them bring up morale. And even more than that, the fact that it's a big donut for Cubert.
And did Clord misclick and use the opportunity at the end of the round there? He definitely does not have it this time, but Renz has his back, and up at the back site, we'll be finding some heads. And Cubert, that was all a fake anyway, as they're pushing through a main, and it will be Clork with the Odin, and it's not as good at range and not as good when you're mid-drop. So big heads up for Caillou to give Cubert a chance to get their first offensive round on the board. Renz will have knives out, waits for the delay, be showing face, takes damage, and kind of waits for maybe just the rest of Maryville to come through tree.
Good round out of Cubert, though. They managed to take so much control of here, and the setup looks clean. Hopefully they can maintain it, though. One break, and it's over.
Cubert have the numbers. But can they react well to this double push from Maryville to swing out of tree, out of smoke? Renz looking for target. It's a target-rich environment, but Caillou with 4 with the Odin shows us how it's done.
Setup. They managed to maintain that control. In round 8, they finally bring it back. Timeout. It's now starting to take a little bit of effect, and more than that, just picking up a really good round, hopefully, to build themselves back up. Nothing super crazy in terms of the ultimates or the economy, other than the potential misclick that we, I guess, need to discuss here. Caillou probably popping that. Oh, sorry, not Caillou. Cloric probably popping that and just losing it. Either that or a visual glitch, but...
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah,
that is weird.
Definitely heard it. And
it's... I mean, you noticed it, Lemon, so I guess, like... That's just gonna, I mean, it's a bit of a problem, right? Because the Satellite gets his ultimate up and there's no real counter to it. They're gonna either have to fight into it or play retake. And now we're starting to see Cubert really have a better hold on the site and really prevent Maryville from retaking on them.
Visual drone up through top mid, hasn't seen anyone, but Cubert are conditioned to expect Giza, to expect Renz, and with the op at the very back here could be a problem. People are gonna smoke it off and all. The jet smokes don't last too long though. And there's a TP as Cubert try to get into position. They are gonna spot the players at the back site there. Or actually that was Anj trying to go and support the team. Doesn't commit to it. I guess it's just a lot of trust in the Giza, and how can you not? You just can't doubt what the guy can do. Converts a big triple kill for Maryville. And Cubert just have not been able to do much on their offense, which kind of is crazy considering they had an 11-1 half on Lotus, and that wasn't even their map pick. This is Cubert's map pick.
30 seconds left.
I find the pathing into defense spawn interesting, but now it's just up to Nismo, and he's already got the 2. 2 more players alive in Giza and Ange. Can Nismo recover?
You just put the turret there, and you can just react of... The turret will do all the scouting for you. This is a cooked round for Nismo. And at 5 bullets as well. Too many bodies to clear with the 5 bullets, and not able to save either. So 8-1. Now this is a juicy comeback for Maryville when it comes to this series.
True, right? 9 would have been a really good snowballing round for the side of Sentinels Cubert Academy. They would have been able to start building into potentially something more, but because they couldn't find that and they were stopped in such a fashion, not really a dominant one, but still a pretty solid one, and because we've had multiple rounds in a row where Maryville has been able to pick up victories, their economy's looking pretty solid for Maryville, and even more than that, pound score doesn't lie. The game is looking really solid for them as well.
Cubert with mid control, but what can they do with it? And now it's a trap laid by Maryville. They know this is coming. They throw out the recon. It's a paranoid response from Cubert, but Giza's just better. Nismo Sheriff does some damage, but Cubert are stuck in an island with no spike and no raft, and Caillou just needing a band-aid. And the rest kind of far away from him. Satellite with the Stinger too. This is just not a place you want to brawl with the Stinger. But hey, he finds the back of Cloric. He finds some luck. He's got a 1v2, and the high-low, pretty much the high-low Vandals are going to take him out.
Great call for Wildfire to just drop there. Just simply like, oh, I'm just gonna drop, have this nice little off angle as well. And it just goes to show the consistency that Maryville have, right? When it comes to just individual decision making. In terms of the bigger overall strategy for Cubert, they haven't been able to land where they need to. The calling has been looking really solid for Maryville University. It's something that we kind of expected out of them, right? Where they have, you know, multiple vocal players from different parts of the map. And because of that, you know, starting off on the defense looks really solid for them. It is also a two-site map, so maybe that's another part of it, right? The fact that they have, you know, a defense-sided two-site map, they're able to kind of play a more regimented MCE style. There's a lot that could be, you know, read into, but hopefully we're not reading too far into it. At this point, it's just Maryville. You know, they have the syllabus, they have their coursework submitted, and they're ready to just lock in on this.
We just haven't seen a Sent from Cubert since last stage against YFP, where they won, but that was also with Scuba and different roles and a totally different situation. So when Cubert picked this map, I thought, oh, they must be cooking. Like, they've prepped this special for Maryville. And it's just been a lot of the same looks at mid, and now we get to see what they look like at B main, and it's just Redux swatted like a fly, and he's at the back, the ultimate anchor. Does get marked, but wait! KJ Util takes out Klorg. That's insane. Giza does what he can and looks for the ace. Ren steals it, and Giza's gonna have a word with him. But what a Sentinel anchor from Giza.
Last round in the half.
Oh my gosh. That was a save, though. There's still a line of hope, but that line of hope is narrow and thin here. It's just been such consistent dominance. And honestly, at this point, right, you have players like Giza, the B site's locked down. They even use utility to try and flush Giza out. They aren't just going in there haphazardly, but they still have yet to find an answer to this glaring problem on the attack side.
Shadows traveling.
Cubert tried a different look of just going right to B main and then tried to throw some util at the backside and set up Redux to have a more clear way, and that's been the big story for Cubert. They enabled him so well on the Neon, but Redux is going to need more setup here on the Jet. And they didn't cross over that smoke. They're trying to fake it. Brents has been marked here at the back, and Redux is going to try and dislodge the problem instead of just ignore it. Renz is going to be really careful. Good awareness from him. Now you got the proactive lockdown, or the preemptive one from Maryville. Like Klorg activates the wall hacks, I guess. The second one for him. Giza assists, and Cubert are left with not much to say. And it sounded like that's detained. Oh no, oh, not like that. Not like that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, almost exact copy, I guess, of round score, just an entirely different story. This carnival ride has just been entertaining, but also very, like, you know, queasy. I definitely don't want to eat some food before this, and especially for some of these teams, like the way that it's been played out. Not only getting a pick through the wall, which is really funny. I was just seeing that like, whoa, okay. But also just really smart to like just drop the lockdown, make sure they can't get in onto the site. They managed to pick up another really clean round here. The question is, though, are they going to be able to lock it in? Cubert was able to. They did it in a couple of rounds, though. They had to lose 4 before they managed to get into it. Hopefully, we'll see some more back and forth between them. I'm open for it. I would love to see Cubert start taking the reins and control on the defensive side, considering the map structure.
Right here.
It's just so uncommon to see 11-1 halves and challengers, because the teams are... It's as competitive as ever in North America. Much needed pistol, though, for Cubert, and Klorg will be farmed easily. And even before the flash comes out, you're going to see that that was unassisted. So Cubert going to converge into this B main hit. Unfortunately, Redux will be out of the fight. He just got paranoid away. And Redux just gets overwhelmed once he gets back into the fray. So Maryville will have to plant with less manpower. And at least they still have Wildfire, but they're not even going to have a chance to set up as soon as the flash does come out. Wildfire does what he can, but gets his ultimate enemy is the reload. And Caillou and Nismo take care of the site, and Cubert win the pistol.
I already like what I'm seeing out of Maryville, though, the fact that they're playing further up and not like turtling back into the site. But at the end of the day, when the numbers advantage is in your favor and you have, you know, the utility that you have when you play the standard comp on Ascent, you have the flashes, you have the Sova to be able to play off of it, you have Redux to entry and take fights. It just ends up being very retake heavy, and it seems like Cubert is prepared for that. Not to mention just having really good systems in place for how they're going to maintain control. Gives me a little bit of hope, but again, like I said in the previous map, until it's 11-11, it's always going to be on the line.
This could be the Cubert win streak. Strap in, everybody. This is big. Challengers is always wild. I'ma just prep what seems to be the impossible.
Believer.
We can just be the good cop, bad cop, where I'm like, yeah, sure, 11-1. Totally comebackable.
I love that. Yeah, sure. I'll play the role of, you know, Maryville's just going to win right now off of some random classic, just run it down strategy. Of course, Giza's going to get 4 here. Not the ace, notably, because it was stolen away previously.
Just barely buying util, too. Maryville just are full investing into this next round. And Cubert are going to play as far back as they can while maintaining sight lines. When you have Bulldogs, you have Outlaws. They're just going to hold their positions, and Maryville's also have Wildfire on the other side of the map, and that would have been an important person to have involved with a flash and one of the biggest and only pieces of util that Maryville have. But that's if you really believe that this round is winnable. Redux is hoping to cut them off, though, with the Outlaw, and he's on the hunt. One down, many more to go. Cubert, the 4 versus 4. Plant going down. Cubert want to prevent it. They get the ping on the other side with the recon, but Caillou doesn't get the heads up he was looking for. And now the cutoff on the flank. Cubert will try to stabilize. Now this player's below him at the distance. There's too much for Redux to handle. He's going to try and use the smoke to isolate away from Hell. And Maryville are just going to anchor in the site and somehow thrifty this.
Listen, I did say Giza was going to get a 4K, but Giza just being the most instrumental player in that, by the way. I said this round 13. I'm going to reiterate it. They're fighting ahead. They're playing just a bit more proactive into the post plans, and I've just been loving that out of Maryville. And here we see it in full force. And unfortunately for the good cop, bad cop story, Lemon, it might end here, because look at Maryville's buy. They're really close. If Wildfire can just get an orb and a plant and use his ult for post plant, which is a potential that we might see, that could be really silly. Unfortunately, I just realized he doesn't have the spike, so it's going to be a little... my little head cannon goes out the window very quickly. But regardless, Maryville's looking very strong on this attack side.
Maryville, we should call the police on Maryville just for thrifting that, because Cubert gambled and worried so much about a main instead of the people in Hell. There was 2 people in Hell, 1 person in main, and Redux just tunneled on the person furthest away from them, and then just got caught between a rock and a hard place, or just now put himself in a pretty difficult place. So this map is officially cooked, and we can look towards, I believe, Sunset as our decider to see if Maryville could somehow pull this all together. I feel like the recency bias makes you a fan of Maryville, of just how well they perform here, but you can't forget what Cubert did on Lotus.
No. They basically had the same exact score. It was 11-1 on the half for Cubert Academy as well. And this round isn't completely over. This judge finds only 1. Haven't found 2. There may be a way in for Nismo and Satellite and Redux to work together hand in hand. But unfortunately now, I think you're 100% right. You have to be looking ahead. And Sunset is a map that, if I'm not mistaken, Cubert isn't the biggest fan of, but they still know how to play it, right?
They gotta show us they know how to play this map too. And Cubert, I mean, they kind of went into this with a Bucky, and everyone's running with knives.
Crazy.
Everyone's running with knives. Rez has now what, 2 knife kills after the detain on someone on the other side. That is an insane bad finish for Maryville, who decided to take Cubert to school on that one, and we'll be heading into a map 3 Sunset.
Yeah, I mean, Maryville played that really well. As for Cubert, they had a rough